The peaceful giants. For 300 years, humans had been the galaxy's peacekeepers. When the great wars between the Blade Empire and the Crystal Federation threatened to tear apart entire star systems, it was humanity that stepped in. Not with weapons, but with words. Not with force, but with friendship. Captain Tom Rivers stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony, watching the endless dance of stars through the main window. His ship was not built for war. It carried no plasma cannons, no missile pods, no shield breakers. Instead, it held meeting rooms, translation computers, and medical supplies. The Harmony was a symbol of what humans had become in the galaxy: helpers, healers, and makers of peace. "Sir, we have a message from the Galactic Council," said Lieutenant Amy Park, her fingers dancing over the communication panel. The young officer had joined the diplomatic fleet straight from the academy, full of hope and dreams of making the galaxy a better place. Tom nodded and activated the main screen. The familiar face of Council Leader Vec appeared, his blue skin marked with the worry lines that had grown deeper over the past months. The Blade Empire had been growing more aggressive, pushing into neutral space and demanding tribute from smaller worlds. "Captain Rivers," Vec began, his voice heavy with concern, "we need human help again. The Blade Empire has taken 3 more systems in the Outer Ring. Their General Rex is demanding that all ships surrender or be destroyed. The local defense forces are no match for their war fleets." Tom felt the familiar weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. This was what humans did. They stepped between the angry and the afraid. They found ways to make enemies into friends. They had done it 1,000 times before across 100 different conflicts. "We'll head there immediately," Tom replied. "Has anyone tried talking to General Rex directly?" "The Crystal Federation sent ambassadors," Vec said, shaking his head. "Rex had them thrown into prison cells. He says he's tired of talk. He wants action, conquest, and glory for his people." After the transmission ended, Tom called his senior staff to the meeting room. Commander Lisa Stone arrived first, carrying her ever-present data pad filled with diplomatic protocols and peace treaties. She had helped end the mining wars of Sector 7 and the trade disputes of the Kelton system. "What do we know about General Rex?" Tom asked, as the others took their seats around the oval table. The room was designed to feel warm and welcoming, with soft lighting and comfortable chairs. Everything about human ships was built to make others feel safe and heard. "He's young for a Blade Empire general," Lisa said, pulling up files on her pad. "Only 200 years old. His people see him as a hero because he won several quick victories against pirate fleets. But those were small fights against poorly organized enemies." Dr. Ben Cross, the ship's head medical officer and psychology expert, leaned forward. "The Blade people have a warrior culture, but they've been at peace for almost 50 years. Maybe this Rex thinks war will make his people strong again." "That's our opening then," Tom said. "We show him that strength comes from building, not breaking. We've done this before with the Iron Clans and the Storm Raiders. Every warrior culture thinks they need war until they see what peace can really give them." The Harmony changed course toward the Outer Ring, where General Rex and his fleet were demanding surrender from 3 small worlds. As they traveled through hyperspace, Tom reviewed the files on similar situations. Humans had a perfect record of peaceful solutions. Not once in 3 centuries had they failed to find a way to stop a war before it truly began. Lieutenant Park approached Tom as he stood in the ship's observation deck, watching the blue glow of hyperspace flow past the windows. "Sir, do you think Rex will listen to us? The reports say he's different from other leaders we've dealt with." Tom smiled and placed a gentle hand on the young officer's shoulder. "Amy, every leader thinks they're different. Every warrior believes their cause is special. But underneath all that armor and anger, they're just people who are afraid or hurt or trying to protect something they love. Our job is to find that person underneath and help them see a better way." The ship's computer announced their arrival at the Outer Ring in 6 hours. Tom felt confident, as he always did. Humans had become the galaxy's teachers of peace because they understood something that other species had forgotten: that every conflict could be solved if you just cared enough to find the right words. He had no idea that General Rex was about to teach him a very different lesson about the galaxy and about the terrible price of human compassion. The breaking point. The three worlds of the outer ring hung in space like wounded birds. Tom could see the scars even from orbit: burning cities, destroyed space stations, and the wreckage of defense ships floating dead in the darkness. General Rex had not waited for surrender. He had simply taken what he wanted. "My God," whispered Dr. Cross as the reports came in from the surface of New Haven, the largest of the three worlds. "The casualty numbers. There are over 2 million dead." Tom felt something cold settle in his stomach. In 300 years of human diplomacy, they had never arrived too late, never found graves instead of people to save. The peaceful solutions had always come in time. "Get me a communication channel to General Rex," Tom ordered, his voice steady despite the shock. "Full diplomatic protocols." The main screen flickered to life, showing the bridge of a Blade Empire warship. General Rex stood in the center, his red armor gleaming under harsh lights. He was younger than Tom had expected, with the kind of cruel smile that came from easy victories. Behind him, Tom could see captured prisoners from the three worlds, families huddled together in terror. "So," Rex said, his voice filled with amusement, "the famous human peacekeepers have finally arrived. I was wondering when you would show up to lecture me about the benefits of surrender." Tom stepped forward, using every skill he had learned in 3 decades of diplomatic service. "General Rex, I'm Captain Tom Rivers of the United Earth Ship Harmony. We're here to discuss a peaceful solution to this conflict. The galaxy doesn't have to choose between conquest and submission. There are always other paths." Rex laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Other paths? Captain, I have taken 3 worlds in less than a week. I have shown the galaxy that the Blade Empire is strong again. Why would I want to discuss anything with a species that has never won a single battle?" "Because winning battles isn't the same as winning peace," Tom replied. "Your people could have so much more than conquered territory: trade partnerships, technological exchange, cultural." "Stop." Rex held up one armored hand. "Do you know what I think of your human peace, Captain? Let me show you." The screen changed to show the prison bay of Rex's ship. Tom saw families from the three worlds, including children no older than 10 or 12. His heart began to race as he realized what was about to happen. "Choose," Rex said simply. "I will release half of these prisoners. You decide which half lives and which half dies. Show me the wisdom of your peaceful ways, Captain Rivers." The bridge of the Harmony fell silent. Tom felt every eye on him, waiting for the diplomatic miracle that humans were famous for. The clever words that would save everyone. The perfect solution that would turn an enemy into a friend. But there were no words, no clever tricks, no way to make this choice anything but what it was: an impossible decision between innocent lives. "You can't be serious," Tom said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I am completely serious," Rex replied. "You have 60 seconds to choose, or I kill them all. This is what your peace is worth, Captain. This is the reality of power." Tom looked at the faces on the screen. A mother holding her baby. An old man trying to shield his grandchildren. A teenage girl who reminded him of his own daughter back on Earth. How do you choose which innocent people deserve to live? 30 seconds, Rex announced. Commander Stone grabbed Tom's arm. "Sir, we have to make a choice. Half is better than none." But Tom couldn't speak, couldn't move. For the first time in his career, human diplomacy had no answer. No perfect solution. No way to save everyone through clever words and understanding. "Time's up," Rex said with satisfaction. The screen went dark for a moment, then showed the prison bay again. But now half the cells were empty. The screams of the survivors echoed through the communication channel before Rex cut the transmission. Tom stood frozen on his bridge, staring at the blank screen. Around him, his crew sat in stunned silence. The weight of failure pressed down on all of them like a physical force. "Sir," Lieutenant Park said quietly, "what do we do now?" For the first time in 300 years, a human captain had no answer. The galaxy's peacekeepers had finally met a problem they couldn't solve with kindness and patience. General Rex had shown them the ugly truth that sometimes evil simply needed to be stopped. And in that moment, something began to change in Tom Rivers and his crew. Something that the galaxy had never seen from humans before. The awakening. The message from Earth arrived 12 hours later. Tom sat alone in his quarters, reading the official response from the Human Council for the 5th time. The words were the same as always: investigate, negotiate, find peaceful solutions. But now they felt hollow, like echoes from a simpler time. A soft knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called. Commander Stone entered, her usually perfect uniform wrinkled from a sleepless night. She carried a cup of coffee and a data pad filled with reports that Tom didn't want to read. "The casualty count is final," she said, sitting across from his desk. 2.3 million dead on the 3 worlds. Rex executed another 1,000 prisoners overnight, just to make sure we understood his message. Tom nodded but said nothing. What was there to say? That they would file a protest with the Galactic Council, that they would arrange another peace conference. The old solutions felt like children's games now. "There's something else," Stone continued. "We've been monitoring communications across the galaxy. Rex's victory is being celebrated by warrior factions in a dozen different species. The Claw Alliance is already moving ships toward the Meridian colonies. The Thunder clans are talking about reclaiming their ancient territories." "They think we're weak," Tom said quietly. "They think peace is weak," Stone corrected. "For 3 centuries, we've taught the galaxy that problems can be solved with discussion and compromise. But what happens when someone doesn't want to discuss? What happens when they see our willingness to talk as an invitation to take whatever they want?" Tom stood and walked to his window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, General Rex was probably planning his next attack. Somewhere else, families were mourning the dead that human diplomacy had failed to save. "The Council is sending orders," Tom said without turning around. "We're to withdraw to a safe distance and wait for reinforcements. More diplomats, more negotiators, more people with more words." "And while we wait," Stone asked, "more people die." The communication panel chimed with an incoming message. Tom activated it, expecting another report from the Galactic Council. Instead, he saw the face of Admiral Jack Kane, commander of Earth's small defense fleet. "Tom," Kane said, his weathered face grim with news, "I'm sending you classified information. The Blade Empire isn't stopping with 3 worlds. Our intelligence shows they're planning to hit the Meridian colonies next, then push toward the core systems. Rex has convinced his people that the galaxy is ready for conquest." Tom felt something shift inside his chest. The Meridian colonies held 40 million people. Families, children, scientists, artists, all the kinds of people that made peace worth fighting for. "What are our orders?" Tom asked. Kane was quiet for a long moment. "Officially, keep trying to negotiate. Unofficially," he leaned closer to the camera. "Tom, I've been watching human ships get sent to fix problems for 50 years. We always arrive with medical supplies and conference tables. But you know what we used to carry before we became the galaxy's peacekeepers?" Tom knew the history. Before humans had learned to solve every problem with words, they had been something else, something the galaxy had forgotten. "Weapons," Tom said. "Every human ship was built on the same basic frame," Kane continued. "Exploration vessels, colony ships, diplomatic cruisers, they all have the same power systems, the same structural supports. Do you know why?" The answer came to Tom like a memory from a dream. "In case we ever needed to fight again." "The retrofit packages are already on their way to your location," Kane said. "Plasma cannons, missile launchers, shield generators, armor plating. Everything you need to turn the Harmony from a diplomatic vessel into something Rex will understand. Admiral, Tom said slowly, are you ordering me to abandon 3 centuries of human policy? Kane's expression grew harder. I'm giving you the tools to save 40 million lives. What you do with them is your choice, Captain. But remember, diplomacy only works when both sides want peace, when one side wants war. He paused. Well, maybe it's time they learned what human war actually looks like. The transmission ended, leaving Tom and Stone alone with a decision that would change everything. Outside the window, the stars looked the same as always, but Tom knew that in a few hours, supply ships would arrive carrying the means to transform his peaceful vessel into an instrument of destruction. For 300 years, humans had chosen to be the galaxy's healers. Now they faced a choice that every species eventually confronted: stand by and watch evil triumph, or remember what they had been before they learned to be gentle. The galaxy was about to discover that human restraint was a choice, not a weakness. The unleashing. The transformation took 18 hours. Tom watched from the observation deck as automated systems stripped away conference rooms and installed weapon mounts. The soft lighting of diplomatic spaces gave way to the harsh glow of tactical displays. The ship that had carried hope for 3 centuries was becoming something new. Final systems check complete, reported Chief Engineer Mike Ross, his voice tight with concentration. All weapons online, armor plating secure, shields at full power. The Harmony is now armed and operational. Tom nodded, feeling the weight of command settle on his shoulders in a way it never had before. Around him, his bridge crew sat at stations they had never used for their intended purpose. Lieutenant Park's communication panel now controlled targeting systems. Dr. Cross had traded his medical scanner for a tactical display. Sir, Stone said quietly, long-range sensors are picking up Rex's fleet. 27 ships heading for the Meridian colonies. They'll reach the outer settlements in 6 hours. Tom studied the tactical display, seeing the red dots that represented enemy vessels. For the first time in his career, he was looking at targets instead of people to help. The change in thinking felt strange, like learning to use a language he had once known but had forgotten. What's our status compared to their fleet? He asked. Chief Ross pulled up the comparison data. 1 human ship against 27 Blade Empire vessels. Their ships are bigger, heavily armed, built for conquest. By every tactical analysis, we're completely outmatched. But, Tom could hear something in the engineer's voice. But our weapons are 300 years more advanced than anything they have, Ross continued with growing excitement. While we were learning diplomacy, our defense industry never stopped developing. We just never had reason to use what we built. The communication panel chimed with an incoming message from General Rex. Tom accepted the transmission, and the main screen filled with the Blade Commander's sneering face. Captain Rivers, Rex said with mock surprise, I heard you were still in the area. Have you come to watch me take the Meridian colonies, or perhaps you want to offer me more of your famous human diplomacy? Actually, Tom replied, his voice calm and steady, I came to give you one last chance to surrender. The entire bridge of Rex's ship erupted in laughter. Tom could see Blade Empire officers pointing at their screens, sharing the joke of a single human diplomatic vessel threatening the entire war fleet. Surrender. Rex wiped tears from his eyes. Captain, you're either insane or you've developed a sense of humor. Either way, you're about to learn why the galaxy fears the Blade Empire. Rex, Tom said, and something in his tone made the laughter stop. You made a mistake when you killed those prisoners. You made another mistake when you assumed human kindness was the same as human weakness, and you're about to make your final mistake. And what mistake is that? Rex asked, his smile fading. You forgot that before we chose to be peacekeepers, we had to win the right to make that choice. Tom cut the transmission and turned to his crew. Every face on the bridge was focused on him, waiting for orders they had never expected to give or receive. All stations, battle ready, Tom commanded. Target the lead vessel. Let's show them what 300 years of restrained evolution looks like. The Harmony moved forward, no longer the gentle giant that had wandered the galaxy spreading peace. Now it was something the universe had not seen for centuries, a human warship with the safety locks removed. Rex's fleet opened fire first, filling space with plasma bolts and missile swarms. The attacks that would have destroyed any normal ship splashed harmlessly against the Harmony's shields like rain against a window. "Return fire," Tom ordered. The response was immediate and devastating. Weapons that had been designed but never used turned Rex's flagship into expanding gas and metal fragments in a single volley. The shockwave from the explosion sent nearby blade ships tumbling out of formation. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Park, staring at her displays. We just reminded them why our ancestors conquered a galaxy before we chose to make peace with it." Tom finished. "Continue firing. Leave no survivors." What followed was not a battle but a demonstration. One by one, Rex's ships died under weapons fire that was centuries beyond anything they could understand or defend against. The mighty Blade Empire fleet, terror of the Outer Ring, was systematically erased from existence. When the last enemy ship was destroyed, Tom's bridge fell silent. They had won, but victory felt strange after centuries of solving problems without violence. "Sir," Stone said quietly, "we're receiving surrender offers from Blade Empire commanders across the galaxy. Word of Rex's defeat is spreading fast." Tom nodded, understanding that everything had changed. The galaxy was about to learn that human restraint had always been a gift, not a limitation. And gifts could be taken away. The new order. 6 months later, Tom stood in the Galactic Council chambers on the neutral world of Haven Prime. The great circular hall had been rebuilt to accommodate new realities. Where once humans had sat in the observers section, now they occupied the central position of authority. The changes had come quickly after the destruction of Rex's fleet. Within days, every aggressive faction in the galaxy had offered immediate surrender. The Claw Alliance had disbanded their attack fleets. The Thunder Clans had returned to their home systems. Even the ancient Hive worlds, silent for millennia, had sent messages of respect and cooperation. The quarterly peace report, announced Council Secretary Vec, his blue skin now showing the healthier color of someone who slept well at night. Galactic conflicts, 0. Territorial disputes, 0. Piracy incidents, down 97% from pre-intervention levels. Tom listened to the report with mixed feelings. Peace had indeed returned to the galaxy, but it was a different kind of peace than humans had once fostered. This was not peace through understanding and compromise. This was peace through the knowledge that war against humanity was suicide. After the formal session ended, Tom walked through the corridors of the council building with Admiral Kane, who had arrived from Earth for the quarterly review. The older man looked satisfied but troubled, like someone who had won a game he wasn't sure he wanted to play. "The fleet expansion is ahead of schedule," Kane reported as they walked. "Every human ship in the galaxy is being upgraded with military systems. The Diplomatic Corps is now officially the Human Defense Force. We have the strongest military presence in known space." "And the cost?" Tom asked. Kane was quiet for a moment. "We're not the same species we were 6 months ago, Tom. Earth's children don't play games about exploring strange new worlds anymore. They play war games and study military tactics. Our poets write about victory instead of peace. Our scientists focus on weapons instead of medicine." They stopped at a large window overlooking the capital city of Haven Prime. Below them, the streets bustled with representatives from 1,000 worlds, all come to pay their respects to humanity's new power. But Tom noticed something missing from the scene. "They're afraid of us," he said quietly. "Yes," Kane agreed. "Every species in the galaxy is afraid of us. Even our oldest friends watch our ships with nervous eyes. They remember Rex's fleet being destroyed in minutes. They wonder if they might be next if they displease us." Tom thought about the old days aboard the Harmony, when his arrival at a troubled system brought relief and hope instead of fear and submission. He remembered the faces of people who had trusted human wisdom to find solutions that helped everyone. "Do you think we made the right choice?" Tom asked. Kane considered the question carefully. Rex was going to kill 40 million people. The Claw Alliance was planning to enslave entire sectors. The Thunder Clans wanted to burn down everything we had built over 3 centuries. We stopped all of that by becoming what we once fought against. By remembering what we had to be to survive, Kane corrected. Tom, for 300 years we had the luxury of being gentle because no one was threatening us directly. We could afford to be patient and understanding because the stakes were never our own survival. But when real evil appeared, what choice did we have? Tom nodded, understanding the logic, but still feeling the weight of what they had lost. Humanity had gained the power to enforce peace throughout the galaxy, but they had lost the innocence that had made them the species others turned to for wisdom. "There's something else," Kane said, his voice dropping to a whisper. "Our intelligence networks have detected signals from beyond the galactic rim. Deep space monitoring stations are picking up transmissions from something that makes Rex's fleet look like children playing with toys." Tom felt a chill run down his spine. Another threat. Unknown. But if history has taught us anything, it's that there's always someone bigger and meaner waiting out there in the dark. The question is whether we'll face them as the peaceful diplomats we once were, or as the military power we've become. Looking out at the fearful galaxy below, Tom realized that humanity had learned a hard truth that every dominant species eventually discovered. Peace was not a natural state of the universe. It was something that had to be fought for, defended, and sometimes imposed through strength. The galaxy had learned the cost of war against humanity. Now humanity was learning the cost of becoming the galaxy's enforcers. And somewhere in the darkness beyond the stars, something else was watching and learning too. The age of human restraint was over. The age of human dominance had begun. And the universe would never be the same. The end.